Let's get into hashtag science, everybody. I got a good one today because there's a little something called the autumnal equinox. And how could we be on the autumnal equinox and not talk about it? Like I said, they give us all kinds of weird constructs of time. They give us months that are just kind of arbitrary. They're just the summer 28 days, 30 days, 31 days. They give us those things. They give us, like I said, days of the week. They give us like 24 hours a day, 60 minutes an hour, 60 seconds a minute. They just give us time. It doesn't really match with anything. But we have these things called these celestial events, times when the heavens, much like the timepiece, kind of express themselves. And one of them is the autumnal equinox, which in the northern hemisphere is right now, this very day. It's always between like the September 21st, 22nd, maybe the 23rd. And let's celebrate the equinox in only the way that we can here on Z Show, with a hashtag science segment regarding the equinox. From science. That's not real science. It's hashtag science, because real science is, real science is a method. It's a method of discovery, and it's available for anybody. Yeah, you. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, guess what? You could be a scientist. You don't have to pay a bunch of money and go to big fancy school, spend a bunch of time, learn a bunch of nonsense. You yourself could be a scientist. You just have to employ certain principles and practices, namely the scientific method. That's not even that hard. It's pretty basic. And then you too could be a scientist. But let's listen to what hashtag science wants to tell us about the equinox. Pull this one. This is from the National Weather Service. This is about the equinox. Now remember, there's two of them. There's a vernal equinox and there's an autumnal. Vernal's the spring, and the autumnal's, the autumn one. Let's go into it. There are only 2 times of the year when the Earth's axis is tilted neither toward nor away from the sun, resulting in a nearly equal amount of daylight and darkness at all latitudes, which is so interesting. Because, I don't know, I'm asking, hashtag science, what the equinox is. And the very first sentence, they tell me about the Earth's axis. Now it's tilted. I don't really know if there's an axis that could even be tilted. Because to tilt an axis, you need an axis first. And I don't really see any proof of that. But when I try to find out what the equinox is, that's the very first sentence you give me. I mean, I don't know, I kind of expected you to tell me that it's equal day and equal night. That's what equinox is. Nox means night. Equal day and equal night. Now, I kind of thought you would tell me that. I kind of thought you would tell me after the vernal equinox that the days start to get less than the night, right? You have less daylight than nighttime. I thought you'd maybe tell me that. I thought you'd maybe tell me about the position of the sun in the sky. But no. Your very first sentence, you tell me about the Earth's axis. I don't know. That's kind of weird. And I also find it kind of weird that every single article that I looked up to talk about the equinox had the same first sentence. Again, weird. I mean, I don't know. Maybe in theory, the Earth could be a globe with an axis that tilts. I mean, in theory. But you can have a lot of things in theory, But I don't know why you're going to tell me your theory in the very first sentence. kind of disingenuous. I don't know. Let's continue. The word equinox is derived from two Latin words, equus, which means equal, and nox, which means night. Well, thank you. Maybe there's some useful information with that sentence. At the equator, the sun is directly overhead at noon on these two equinoxes. Well, let's listen to what they said there. The sun is directly overhead at noon at the equator on the equinox. So what they're saying is, visually, what we can observe, what we can measure, and what's repeatable is that if you're on the equator at the equinox, the sun is directly overhead. All right, I can get down with that. But what does that have to do with some supposed axis and tilting of it? I don't see how those two things are related, because if you're observing the sun directly over your head, why would we assume anything other than the observation of the sun being directly over our head? It just kind of seems intuitive to me. I don't know. They're telling me a bunch of other stuff. They're telling me that the sun's really not directly over my head, that it's really far away, and that we're tilted in a certain way. So it just kind of looks like the sun's directly over our head. I don't know. Is there any evidence? Like, did they tell me why? No. They're just positing that the Earth has an axis that's tilted. And we just know it, of course, dummy. Well, how do we know it? Because we just do, dummy. Because everybody says it. All the authorities say it over and over and over again. So you just know that's the way it is. Let's continue. The nearly equal hours of day and night are due to refraction of sunlight, or the bending of the light's rays that causes the sun to appear above the horizon when the actual position of the sun is below the horizon. Oh, thank you, science. You answered like the question I was asking. That didn't make any sense to me. You're going to tell me that you're going to tell me that the nearly equal hours of day and night are due to refraction of the sunlight, or the bending of light's rays that causes the sun to appear in the horizon. Thanks. So it's not actually in the horizon, it appears in the horizon. And the sun's like not actually where you see it. It's somewhere else, but it's refracting in a perfect position that just happens to match the story that they're telling you. That kind of sounds like magic. It's kind of convenient that you come up with a story and then a bunch of people kind of point out that there's really no evidence to match your story, and actually that all demonstrable reality kind of points in the complete opposite direction. But you could just claim that it's kind of refraction, and we just know it because you tell me over and over again. Thanks, refraction. Additionally, the days become a little longer at the higher altitudes. At the higher latitudes, those at a distance from the equator, because it takes the sun longer to rise and set. Therefore, on the equinox and for several days before and after the equinox, the length of day will range from about 12 hours and 6½ minutes at the equator to 12 hours and 8 minutes at 30 degrees latitude to 12 hours and 16 minutes at 60 degrees latitude. Again, all right, at least you gave me some like actual data there. Measurable information. Thank you. But I still don't understand how that fits in, with the whole refraction thing and the tilting of the axis, and that kind of stuff really doesn't match up. All right, let's just take a little thought experiment. If you were like, I don't know, like a kid, say you're like 9 years old and you want to Google what the equinox is. And you're a kid, you're looking at your world and you're just seeing how the sun kind of comes and goes, and the seasons change, the heavens kind of move. And you're a little kid and you don't really know, maybe no one ever taught you about like a globe, and a solar system, and a tilting axis. Maybe you're just like young and you're in a culture that never, conditioned you with these ideas and beliefs. And you Googled like, what is an equinox? I don't know. Like maybe that kid would still have the sovereignty of thought to kind of question these things, kind of like how I'm questioning, because I don't see the adults questioning them. Oh well, Z, they're adults. They already know it's this. It's stupid to even question it. Don't you know they have big fancy jobs? They got a lot of stuff, big homes, fancy cars, all kinds of cool stuff. Only an idiot would question these things. An idiot and like a 10-year-old. Interesting. What do they say about the fool on the hill, everybody? The fool on the hill. What did they tell us? Beatles. The fool on the hill sees the sun going down, but the eyes in his head see the world spinning round. See what I mean? You see the sun going down, but in your head, the world is spinning round. It's only spinning round in your imagination. Because what your eyes see is this the sun going down, it's going away. It's only spinning in your head, like the fool on the hill knows. So strange. Let's continue. We all know the Earth makes a complete revolution around the sun once every 365 days, following an orbit that is elliptical in shape. Let me repeat that one just for anybody who missed it. We all know that the Earth makes a complete revolution. You see how they just put it in there? This is how programming works, everybody. This is how you indoctrinate an entire human race. You personify education, you personify academia, and then you present a narrative. And you do it loudly, you do it repeatedly. You control the information. And you basically do whatever you want. And then you could just get to the point where you say, we all know the Earth makes a complete revolution. Well, I don't know that. Why did you just take the liberty to include me in the we and the all? I don't know that. I mean, you tell me that the Earth makes a complete revolution around the sun every 365 days. I don't know. It kind of seems to me that just the sun makes a complete revolution around the Earth. I mean, that's just another theory, but that's kind of what it seems like. But you're telling me we're the one that's moving. And not only are we moving in a revolution around the sun, but it's elliptical. But which is weird because I kind of studied like actual science, and I've seen, that all demonstrable reality shows me that when something is revolving in an ellipse, that it's accelerating and decelerating by nature due to the elliptical pattern. And I also know, based on all, demonstrable reality, that when things accelerate or decelerate, it creates an inertia. And I also know from all demonstrable reality that if we experience this inertial force, we tend to feel it. To the point, if you're in a car and you just accelerate or decelerate, even the slightest, you feel it. If you're drinking a cup of coffee, you know it because it might spill out if you do it a little bit too quickly. So in a car, it happens, even at slight differences, slight accelerations and decelerations. But on a massive level, that's scales that are almost difficult to comprehend. We don't feel this elliptical acceleration and deceleration. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But I guess, I don't know. You keep telling it to me over and over again, so maybe I'm the weird one. Who knows? I don't know. Just saying. Let's continue. This means that the distance between the Earth and the Sun, which is 93 million miles on average, varies throughout the years. Right. Thus the ellipse. Interesting. During the first week in January, the Earth is about 1.6 miles closer to the Sun. Well, that's weird. Because in January, it's really cold, at least where I live, in January. But we're closer to the Sun. We're closer to the big burning fusion gas ball. But it's colder. I mean, we're closer to the burning fireball, but it's colder. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I'm just saying. Let me continue. This is referred to as the perihelion. The alpha helion, or the point at which the Earth is about 1.6 miles further away from the sun, occurs during the first week of July. Right. So when it's like super hot, like in July, like it's really hot where I live in July. Like not as hot as some of you, but it gets pretty hot and humid. But we're further away from the burning fusion gas ball. I don't know. It's weird to me too how that happens. But they're going to explain to me in the next sentence. Thank you, science, because I had all these conflicting questions, but now you're going to answer it for me. Oh, thank you. Let's see what they say. This fact may sound counter to what we know about seasons in the northern hemisphere, but actually the difference is not significant in terms of climate and is not the reason why we have seasons. Oh. Now you're going to tell me. Please tell me. Seasons are caused by the fact that the Earth is tilted on its axis by 23.5 degrees. I said it was 23.4. We'll go with 23.5. Let me read this again. And by the way, they have this bolded. This is in bold in this beautifully written science article. Seasons are caused by the fact that Earth is tilted on its axis. You see, dummy, you idiot flurfs out there, don't you know that it's a fact that the goofy, spinny, wobbling space globe is tilted on its axis, and that's why there's seasons? Let's continue. The tilt's orientation with respect to space does not change during the year. Thus, the northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun in June and away from the sun in December. That's why. It's the tilt again, silly me. That tilt. So it's just about the direction of the sun's rays. That's really what it is. Why didn't I think of that? And so on, etc., etc. Hey guys, I don't know. I mean, I keep trying to debunk this. I keep trying to prove this. They keep telling me that there's a globe and it's tilty and we're orbiting and revolving and it's elliptical. They keep telling me these things, but I keep trying to prove it, and for some reason I can't. And that makes me kind of feel crazy sometimes, guys, because I, for the life of me, can't prove this damn globe that they keep telling me I live on. But everything around me and everybody else around me is telling me it's this certain thing. That it's a globe, dummy. Everybody keeps telling it to me over and over again. It's presented in all the popular movies. Every educational institution that I participated in tells me. Everybody I know tells me. But I just can't prove this darn globe. Now, I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I don't know what proofs are. Maybe I don't know what science is. I mean, it seems kind of simple to me. You can measure stuff. Well, first you got to be able to observe it. Then you have to be able to measure it. And then you do experiments. You record your observations. Then you could maybe try to repeat those, see how they hold up to the empirical method, to logic and reason. I don't know. Science seems kind of simple to me, but everything around me keeps telling me that science is like something else, that it's a bunch of theories. I keep saying to these people, that kind of sounds like pseudoscience. And the theoretical science is kind of like an oxymoron. How do theory and science even go into the same term? It kind of sounds like philosophy when you start talking about theoretical science. I understand philosophy, but I know that philosophy is not science. They're two separate disciplines, but you guys seem to keep telling me that kind of off on this. I don't know. It's weird. So maybe I'll just continue to try to prove the globe, and maybe someday I will. And when I do, maybe I'll kind of maybe have a whole different presentation for you. But until then, I guess I'm just going to be one of these crazy flirfs who comes on the internet and looks like a fool to all you indoctrinated normie plebes as I continue to show you that there's really no evidence of their claims. And I'll keep facing the scrutiny amongst all you people out there, like the one I saw yesterday, where they said, Z's a psyop. Z's a psyop. He's part of the flat earth deception. And I'll keep coming on here in light of the ridicule, in light of the scorn. And I'll just keep doing this. Or maybe I won't. Either way, there's still no proof of the globe. There's still no proof of the heliocentric model. And in fact, all demonstrable reality, all practical applied physical science shows the complete opposite. It shows a level, horizontal realm. And if you wanted to prove it to yourself, you don't have to look any further than the water. The water that makes up 70% of the supposed Earth that they give us. The water that shows no evidence of convexity whatsoever. And at great distances, by the way. Sure, if water doesn't curve at great distance, how do you live on a globe? Interesting.